Quick like a bunny.
Just admiring your typing skills.
We're admiring your chops there on the keyboard.
Mrs. Slack would have been impressed.
You think so?
She kicked me out of
All
town.
right, Ken,
I hear a
we
lot.
have live stream. Oh, wait, let me get the recording.
I used to tell them,
They're gonna start you.
oh, okay.
Choose wisely.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. I restarted both. Also, give Boston my cell number. He called my work desk, my office desk downstairs. Okay. All right, it's going.
We're live. We're ready to go. All right. Thank you. We'll go ahead and get our meeting started off. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting dated May 26th, 2026.
Did you want to do an opening? I mean, we don't have to.
An opening.
Prayer and pledge.
Oh, yeah.
He's moving on, man. He's,
Yeah, not messing
Yeah,
around.
sorry. All right.
I mean, it's not required, but
No, let's go ahead and do that. John, would you be willing to give us a prayer, and then Bryce will lead us in the pledge?
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to be able to be gathered today in the context of a county commission meeting. We pray that thou will bless the commissioners, that they can make good and wise deliberations. We pray that thou will bless our county. We're grateful for the amazing people that live here. We pray that thou will bless them in their lives, in their employment, and in their families. We ask for a blessing upon our land and indeed this western United States. Please bless us with the moisture we need, and we pray that thou wilt bless that we might have good storms and be able to fill our reservoirs and our aquifers. We pray that thou wilt help us to get along well today. We pray that thy blessings can be upon all the leaders of our country and our state and our county and our towns. We're grateful to live in the United States, for the rich history, for the patriotism that we can feel, and we pray that we can do our part to help keep this land free and be able to enjoy the freedoms that we were all born with here. And we're grateful for these things, and we say it in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll start again with take number 2. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our May 26th, 2026 meeting.
I'll abstain. I was out of town.
I'll move for approval of the minutes as described.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Entertain a motion for approval of claims of payment from May 26th to June 7th of 2026.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We'll go to department reports. We have Bryce this morning, Parks and Rec. Down to John.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Are you giving Maria's report as well?
Nope,
Okay.
just Parks.
Okay.
I don't know what she's got going, so I wouldn't even try to report on her stuff. All right, good morning. So our budget right now, we're at 37% of our budget expended. Our revenue generated $2,000 today. We do have a budget and an equipment issue. There is an attached report for that I want the commissioners to review, and we can have a discussion on that at a later date. I didn't want to discuss that yet till you have time to review that. And then, let's see here. So there's on the second page there's a list of events we've got scheduled for the year, which we talked about last time. Some of those have taken place at this point. We had the the rock crawl event. That was a success. They had asked us if we could kind of remove some trees and make a part of the course up at the front of the park more accessible that they've used in the past that had kind of become overgrown. We were able to get that cleared out for them, make it a little bit better event for them. They thanked us and appreciated that. We had the Summer Games Moto Trials. As far as I know, that went well. They appreciated that we put up the signboards indicating that the park was closed for that event to help keep, people from going in there during their event to try to camp. The mountain bike gravel race and the long rifle rent were completed successfully. I did have Peyton report that the rifle event, they really took care of the shooting range and took care of it and cleaned up after themselves really well. So we appreciate that because that shooting range is a full-time cleaning job just by itself. So anytime people actually take initiative to clean up, it helps us a lot. Intermount, the I-Cup race was successful and well attended. We had the pistol shooting over the weekend. I haven't had any reports on that. So as far as I know, that went well. And then we'll just keep going with those events. There's a few more this year. Okay, our park operating update. So Wood Ranch opened June 1st for the season. Next year we're going to try to open that a little earlier. We typically had opened that May 1st, but with 5 Mile coming into play, we decided it would be better to offset those and not have them open the same weekend. Just too much for our staff to get everything ready for the 2 parks to open the same day. And then we also some years have had an issue with getting in with the snow into the water system, which obviously wasn't a problem this year. So we're going to do I think we're decided on the 3rd Monday of May will be our opening date for Woods Ranch from now on. We're working on that fence to fence in that it'd be the northeast or northwest end of the park where we've been extending that wood fence. I have found there's like a spring bubbling up in there on the west side. I don't know what we're going to do right there. Might just have to drive some T-posts in and do some barbed wire across the stretch of that. We had to do that up at 5 Mile too. There's some areas you can't get those wood fences in. It's too much water. But then right there in the red, that's our issue that we're having with Woods Ranch is our water. Division of Drinking Water has ordered us to install a chlorination system moving forward because we've had some bad water samples in the past and our spring has been contaminated. And so we're looking into that, but it's most likely looking like it's going to be making that non-potable water up there in the future. It won't be drinking water. It'll just be for putting out fires and things. We're going to look into both options, but it's very expensive to get that up to drinking water
Putting a sign up that says non-potable.
non-potable. But there is a process with DDW to actually get that converted over to a non-drinking water system. We have to put in an application for that, and they have to approve that to go off of a drinking water to non-drinking water. I've actually got our sanitary survey with Paul Wright on Wednesday this week. We do that every 3 years, the sanitary survey on the system. And he said he'll be able to answer more questions about the process of whether we add a chlorinator or not. But I mean, I had already talked to Alpha Engineering out of St. George that we've used before for 5 Mile Water project. And it was $12,000 just to get the plans drawn up to add a chlorinator and then probably another $15,000 to $20,000 to actually install one. So for non-campground area where it's a picnic area, we're leaning towards just not doing drinking water there anymore. I know that Cedar Canyon campground across the way has had issues with their drinking water. I haven't talked with them. I don't know what they're doing, if they're adding chlorine to theirs or not, but I know their water system's also shut down right now.
What was the nature of the contamination? Do you know? Did they tell you?
We've had back T samples, so E. coli and total coliform both have tested positive up there.
Yeah.
It's been on and off. But once you have 2 positive E. coli's within your operating season, it triggers a level 2 assessment, and we've had that happen twice in the last 3 years. So we're we had heard they had kind of mentioned that this could potentially be happening. I guess they made the decision back in December, but they didn't notify us until last week.
Yeah, we got the letter last week.
Yeah. So yeah, because it was addressed to John. That's out of legality. It had to go to him. So anyway, we'll see what happens on Wednesday. But I'm thinking that, I mean, we'll obviously leave that up to the commissioners to decide what they want to do as far as whether we pursue keeping it drinking water or abandoning that. Did you have
They
it?
tried to put a chlorination in it. I mean, how would you go about doing it?
Yeah, it's a process. So
You don't want chlorine out in the open.
we can't have chlorine in the overflow. And so the way it's set up right now is the spring comes down. It's about a quarter mile up from the pond. And it comes down, and then there's two 1,700-gallon tanks right there next to the pond, are holding tanks. But then they have an overflow that just runs out below the pond. That ends up tying just into Coal Creek eventually. You can't have any chlorine in those. So we would have to
Can't put them in the tanks.
we can't put it in the tanks with overflow. You can't have chlorine in the overflow. So we would have to install secondary tanks that were for our chlorine for the residual time on the chlorine.
Why it's so expensive?
Yeah, and so I was looking at doing it maybe down there by my Connex box that's just below the pond. There's that pad there. It forks right there to go to the both pavilions. And it would be like a small cinder block building with the chlorinator in it. And then there would also be holding tanks there, a secondary holding tank for the chlorine activation time on that. But I don't know all the details because we haven't got, but it's going to be pretty spendy. And I also want to find out, I'm not sure what the process would be to go backwards. If later down the line we decided we wanted to, I know a lot of times with water, once you deem a source contaminated, you can't get
Recovering
you
that.
can't recover it. And so I want to find out for sure what the answer is on that also before we go ahead.
You know, maybe we hopefully cycle out of this drought and have more water. It would clean itself up.
Well, there's also the potential to redevelop our spring, which we probably have needed to do for a while, honestly. But I've talked about that with Maria. That's also a substantial cost. But I feel like maybe at this point we put it off a little too long, and now we're kind of up against a wall here. We've got to make a decision one way or the other.
How many people are tied into that?
So it's just our park.
Just
So
the
we
two,
have-
the
Into the spring,
two
is it just
frost-free taps.
Yeah, there's 4 frost-free hydrants in the park, and I actually keep one of them locked now. That's over by the sledding hill. There was a bathroom over there, but we've took that out. So there's only three hydrants. I know several of those cabin owners up there have historically filled tanks and hauled it up to their cabins and things, but there's nothing in place, no kind of arrangement that I know of, other than I don't know if
We're just still in the water.
they're just taking it, yeah. Which we've never had.
For the record, I haven't done that.
I think you guys have your own spring, don't you? Yeah, you guys have.
Where I was working on our little bit. Sorry, this is a little bit of an aside, but where does your water line run under that road?
So
I was
just
worried I'd
below
clip
the-
it.
Just below the Forest Service where it forks to the Forest Service.
Yeah, but like where you put your four-wheeler.
Yeah, it's probably just a little bit to the east of that, maybe 10 or 15 feet, I think. There's some T-posts that indicate where the joints are on that line. I think there's a T-post up on the hill.
I'd like to walk it with you someday because I was working on the ditch up there and I thought, oh man, I hope I don't clip their water line.
It's pretty deep, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I didn't install that. That new water line was installed the year before I started.
Okay.
But I mean, I've dug it up a few times, and it's
You know where it is.
I roughly know where it is, and there's T-posts at the joints to indicate, so you can kind of track it.
I'd hate to nick the county's water line.
But it doesn't have a tracer wire or anything on it, so other than digging it up, which is kind of crappy because I found a big leak right at the tanks this year that could potentially have been part of our contamination problem. But I've also had bad samples directly out of the spring, so it's not only. But there was on the overflow, the pipes were broken. They were done in PVC pipe, so there was no give. So as those tanks moved on that hillside, the joints
Snapped it.
broke. So I redid it with PEX, so there's some give to it now. But
Is the spring enclosed so the
Yeah, it's
animals can't get in it?
yeah, it's all enclosed. It has to be. There's a fence around the whole thing, but it's on a steep hillside. I think there's a lot of vegetation that's grown down into that spring over the years, and sometimes I actually have to stick a snake up in there some years and pull roots and stuff. I've had to, and I just think that it just needs redevelopment. But at this point, I don't think redevelopment's gonna. I mean, they're still gonna make us chlorinate also. So if we do both, then we've got the cost of both redeveloping the spring and chlorinating. So, and with chlorinating, there's quite a bit of you got to take. I think like there's like 3 residual samples a week that you have to take, and there's a lot more record keeping with the chlorine. Quite a bit more work with that. So I don't know.
And if you got a cabin owner or somebody decides to drink that water, if you got the sign that said this is non-potable.
Well, like I know, I think George just maybe sold this cabin, but is what I heard. But I know he gets it, but he says he only uses it for showers and things like, and he doesn't drink it. So
George was there yesterday.
Anyway, so my report's going too long here. I am the only
You're
one.
the only
but-
one. so-
I'm the only one, but I still want to be reasonable here. I know you guys have stuff to do. So, just so you're aware, that's what's going on with our water. So you guys know. So if people ask you, we're working on it, but it's not looking good. 5 Mile opened up on May 1st. Parowan City has given us use of their irrigation water temporarily. We were able to go in there and plant a bunch of new trees and bushes and shrubs that the Forest Service provided to go along that front north fence where we took out all that Russian olive. So there's a bunch of new maple trees and all kinds of different bushes that they provided, and we've got a drip system installed that's on hose bib timers. So that's all in, and it's doing okay, but that's really rocky soil up there. I don't know how it's going to work, if they're going to last or not. Mike Golden from the Forest Service, he's been great. He's been going up there and kind of babysitting them for me. He's the one that helped put them in. The new vault toilet for the north side, or I put north side on there. That's wrong. So south side of the creek. We already have one on the north side. Should be installed this summer. They actually wanted to bring it next Monday, and I'm not going to be out of town, and it's a holiday, and so now they've put me off. So we'll see. They said they'll get back to me later this summer on getting that installed. I didn't want them to install it without me on site. But other than that, things are going well at 5 Mile, 3 Peaks. Weren't able to burn out there. Still have our slash piles. Who knows when that'll ever happen. If we ever get snow one of these winters. Water was turned on April 1st out at 3 Peaks. Shooting range, I'm still waiting on that boundary extension. I emailed Jacqueline Cox on the 18th and haven't heard back, so I'm waiting on what we can do with that. It's kind of in their hands now on that boundary extension. Staffing, we were finally able to hire a seasonal after a long wait. Kean Hicken, he started last Tuesday. No, 2 weeks ago Tuesday. Anyway, on May 25th, he's been great so far. Pretty quiet kid, but seems like he's a hard worker. He was working over at CarQuest delivering parts and things. So, but and then other than that, I don't have anything else. Just I want you to review that report I attached, and we can have a later discussion on that. Are there any other comments from you guys? Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
All right, we can go into commission reports.
If there's time, I have a little something to bring up as well.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, why don't I go after?
After? Okay.
Because mine could wait.
Mike, you ready?
Sure. In the interest of time, I'm just going to touch on a couple of things that I think were really important. We had the Special Olympics in town as kind of a precursor to the normal Utah Summer Games. That's been such a great addition to our community, just to have the spirit of those events, and it's also a really important economic boom to our community that just goes hand in hand with the Summer Games. I was able to attend kind of the get together, rub shoulders with some folks, and just share the importance of that. We've had a couple of pretty important coordinating meetings with the inland port. Also had an opportunity to meet with a couple of different companies, proposed industrial type manufacturing companies that have coordinated with David Johnson with Cedar City. We've spent some significant time looking at that in our economic development committee meeting. Talked about the latest legislation that kind of affects the way that we can do incentives and different things, trying to get our head around some of those rules. Had a department head meeting. It was very well attended. It was really nice to kind of get on the same page with everybody in the same room. Also, some issues surfaced that we didn't necessarily know were issues, or knew that were issues but didn't have any idea of some of the passion or scope behind some of those issues. So that's really good. You know, we can't work on those things and try and make the county run smoother unless we know about them. And so that was, I really appreciated that interaction and kind of have a to-do list of things we can maybe iron out, just some wrinkles in procedural things. I just want to talk about the Utah Summer Games for a minute. So we had opening ceremonies on Friday. One portion of that, well, there's a couple of things that we were able to incorporate into there. We were, as we know, hired a wildland fire coordinator to assist George in that office. Cassie is doing a fantastic job. We've also given her a little bit of extra responsibility as far as being a PIO and getting information disseminated. Cassie was out of town, but she arranged for our county fire warden department, Department of Natural Resources, to be involved in that opening ceremony with a video about the importance of wildfire prevention. They also were able to walk around the track with us and throw swag at the people, because we know that's what gets people's attention. Hand sanitizer and dog drink bowls, and all sorts of things, all with a fire prevention message. So I really appreciate that, those guys giving their time to come and do that. We've talked a little bit about the flag that we found in the basement, and I have to give a lot of credit to John and recognizing the importance of historical things. We were able to actually, that was the flag. It was the last flag that was flown over the USS Iron County, which was a naval ship that saw action in World War II in Okinawa and the South Pacific, was brought back into service during the Korean conflict. That flag was actually the flag that flew over the openings of the Utah Summer Games. We're looking at a permanent retirement of that flag during the Labor Day Iron County Fair, where it'll be put on permanent display here in the courthouse. But this was kind of its first introduction to the public. We're able to fly it over the events, and it was the official flag of the Utah Summer Games. So that was really cool. Really appreciate John Oglesby and his crew, the crew from SUU. Maria and I and her staff, other folks from the county, have been really involved in not only helping with the logistics, but providing funding, coordinating those efforts between Iron County and the Utah Summer Games. In fact, they honored us with a gold medal sponsor award, just recognizing that partnership. And so that was, it was just nice to be recognized for what we actually do with that organization. And it's such a huge economic boom. I don't have any numbers or anything. We'll have those, in the next month or so, look at just what impact that has on our community. But overall, man, it is so nice for friends and family to come together. The volunteerism in our community is amazing, and we get to see that at its peak with huge events like this. You know, when we're looking at 10 or 12,000 people whatever. The influx of that many people into our community takes a lot of hands to manage, and we do a really great job of it. So that's it in a nutshell.
Thank you. Paul, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of my responsibilities regarding the 5-County Association of Governments. That's one of the big jobs that I've done for the last 7.5 years. There's lots of meetings, lots of responsibility there. And we changed directors, maybe not quite a year ago in that organization, and it was a much needed change. We're struggling in that organization with finances. We've got a vehicle fleet that they use that when you fill the cars up with gas, they double in price, and it's a problem. And so we've got to figure out some different ways to fund that organization. We and this is the deal with 5-County AOG, they have a lot of people that take care of a lot of things that we wouldn't want to have to take care of, like administering government grants and different planning issues. They help a lot of small communities with planning. Some of these smaller communities that don't have public like a Paul Bittman, what am I trying to say, city manager, they step in and help a lot. So as a whole, we're stronger than the individual parts. And I wanted to read just some of the things that we do as the 5-County AOG and the value they are to us. And I'm just going to read a list of some of the responsibilities they help us with. Community planning assistance, consolidated plan for southwestern Utah, community development block grants. That's CDBG. That's a funded or federally funded grants, and those are the things they administer. Natural hazard mitigation plans, regional capital improvement planning, Dixie Metropolitan Planning Organization, Iron County Rural Planning Organization, mobility management, medical transportation voucher program, heat and energy assistance for those that can't afford to heat their homes in the winter. They have a department help. They have crews that go out and help winterize and help make homes more tight with weather stripping and new door jambs and those kind of things. Mobility management, medical transportation voucher program, heat energy. I said those heat energy circles program, ESG and CAT and. Sorry, this is so small. And COC, rapid rehousing, homeless prevention, TANF family housing, SSBG funded services, court-ordered community services, and then they do a lot for our senior nutrition services. That's with the senior center, supportive services, aging, water, Medicaid, alternatives program, veteran-directed care, caregiver support program, state health insurance assistance program, senior Medicare patrol, benefit enrollment center, veterans benefit services, long-term care ombudsman, foster grandparent program, senior compassionate program, retired senior volunteer program, and community education and outreach. And so there's a list of things that they do. And if any one county, we benefit a lot by being in 5-County because Washington County is so heavily populated that they pay the lion's share of the bills to fund 5-County. Iron County is the next in line. We each have an assessment that we pay as counties, but one thing we're re-looking at, and I've asked John to put it on the agenda for the July 13th meeting, Darren Bushman, who's our new AOG director, is going to come up and we're going to try to change our bylaws in the bylaw, or not really change it, but maybe just start doing what we should have been doing all along. From years ago, they just had counties participate in financing the 5-County AOG, but we're going to look at having each city help with that financing and then the school districts as well, because the ones that sit on the steering committee for the 5-county AOG is a school board member in that county, a county commissioner in that county, and a mayor that represents all the other mayors in the county. And so we meet about quarterly, and then in addition to that, we meet with public health and behavioral health. And so there's a lot of things that they take care of and these are things that are required by us by law to take care of. If we were on our own, just Iron County trying to do this, we'd probably have to hire 2 or 3 people just to do this. So when you look at the amount of money we pay 5-county to help with our responsibility, the return on investment is huge. And so anyway, we're going to have that meeting. I'm going to invite all of the mayors in Iron County and all the school board members to be here for that meeting. Hopefully most of them can come, and we're going to have an in-depth discussion on that model and kind of what they do. So that's one thing we're going to work on. I attended the County Planning Commission. I just wanted to give a shout out to our Planning Commission. That is a thankless job. I mean, those guys do not get paid one dime, and the pressure they endured the other night in discussing data centers. And just for the record, a lot of people think that they approve conditional use permits and then it comes to us, but that's not the case. The Planning Commission approves conditional use permits, and that's something they debated the other night. There was a lot of people there, and you know, there's a obviously it's a very hot topic right now. And I've tried to remind, and there's been a lot of people very vocal about letting the public vote on something like that, but that's not how it works in our government. We are a constitutional republic, and we elect leaders to do the research and make those decisions. And the County Planning Commission is appointed by us as a county commission, and I can't tell you what a great job Brett has done in this process, and Terry and the planning commissioners have just been amazing. And one thing that I think has come up is the fact that this last is the first applicant, and I'm just going to say it, they weren't very prepared for the PR onslaught that hit us, and so Brett did a lot of that work for them. And moving forward, I believe what I hear from Brett and others is we're not going to do that anymore. These companies that want to make applications for projects, they need to do their own PR, and they need to handle that. And so that's something that I just want to give a shout out to those individuals and Brett and Terry and all of them that were involved, and Sam who helps with the legal part of that meeting. We continue to have our jail meetings. A lot of times Sunday mornings when it's quiet, I sneak down with my hard hat on and walk through the jail project and spend an hour or two looking at things, and that thing's moving quick. It's amazing once those walls were tilted up, how fast it's moving along and how fast the trades are moving and getting that project done. It's exciting to see that happen.
Do you happen to know how many people are working on that nowadays? I was just curious how many people are on site.
I don't know, John, but there's a lot of trades. They're like ants. I mean, it's and Layton they're a taskmaster. They follow the schedule, and if you are not and we appreciate that as a county, because if you are not performing as a subcontractor, the foreman is replaced immediately, and they get somebody else in there that'll do the job. So they're all business, which we appreciate and which helps us. And that's a good question, John. I don't know. I would guess there's probably at least 100 people working at a time, at least. And of course that depends on how many trades and who's overlapping in that in the schedule. But one last thing that I talked to Sam about is a water hauling ordinance, and Terry and Brett, we need to sit down. I know that Sam's worked on that a little bit, and I asked him to email that to me, and I want to go through it. But in the past, the 5-county Board of Health has administered water hauling in all 5 counties. It's been one ordinance for all 5 counties, or I don't know, what do we call it, an ordinance, Sam? What would it be, a rule, whatever? But we voted to split that up and let each county kind of do their own thing. And so we need to come up as Iron County, we need to meet together and come up with a good water hauling plan and what we're going to allow, what we're not. There's some people that are waiting. I think the thing that really initiated this was Kane County. They had a development was, I think, 800 acres, and they were like 20-acre lots, and they'll never have a functional water system. They just never will. But there's a lot of nice homes. They have tanks. They can haul water. They have septic tanks. And that was really what drove this change, was that issue in Kane County. I think it's a good thing. I think it's positive that the counties can decide what they want to do individually and not have one rule. One rule doesn't always fit all, and it doesn't always work. So we need to get that working and decide on a final water hauling ordinance that we can vote on and get in place. So, Mr. Chair, that's all I have.
Thank you. Just touch on a couple things really quick. As Paul mentioned, we had the jail meeting on a weekly basis, and so that's good to see the progress that goes on there, and the change that can happen in a week is pretty spectacular when there's that many subs working there and things are moving along. Also went to the Summer Games opening ceremony. Great opportunity to see the community out and the goodwill that brings to our community and the money that it brings in throughout from all over the state and throughout our region, not just Utah, but it's great to see that and the impact that has on our community is astounding. Not only short term while the people are there, but long term it creates a great sentiment to people that visit this area. They come here and have a good experience and really enjoy it, so that's awesome to see. I also attended the department head meeting. As Mike mentioned, there were some good topics there and a lot of great conversation. And some issues that were brought up that need to be addressed. One of the main things that was brought up was the rising cost of health insurance and how that's going to affect the county and employees individually. And how we're going to manage that going forward. So that's going to be a continual thorn in our side for everybody, regardless of what entity you work in. This morning we had was able to zoom in on a Utah Association of Counties meeting where they discussed data centers and public perceptions and how to walk through those, manage those situations, and address relevant concerns that people have. And as Paul said, a big shout out to our planning commission and the effort and the homework that they did on that and the research that they did on that. Brett, how many conditions were put on that permit?
Yeah, and when I can find it.
53?
That's good.
That's incredible. Have 53 conditions put on a conditional use permit. So, you hear mostly from social media about how nobody's listening. When there's 53 conditions put on a conditional use permit, that is direct evidence to the contrary. That those concerns that people are bringing forward are being addressed, they're being managed, and that's how the system works. So it's great to see that, and those guys are, like Paul said, they don't get paid a dime and sit there and take the abuse of people that oftentimes are misinformed. I'll just say it that way. Another thought that I've had along with the data centers, and the data centers, the developers that are trying to come into our community, they are power generating developers. That's what they are. They're trying to come in and take access to the gas line that goes through our county and be able to prove to whoever that they have that power available to power a data center or whatever, right? So as I'm thinking through this process, and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, it's always kind of frustrated me or made me question as I drive through Millard County and past the IPP project in Delta. I drive through Emery County and see the giant coal-fired power plant in there, the one that was at Lake Powell, and see, you know, the power generation systems that are around, and think, okay, where's that power going? And everybody says, oh, it goes to California, it goes wherever. It doesn't stay here. It goes to somebody else. So as I think through this process of these developers coming into our community wanting to create power generating facilities in our community, and I've approached several different people on this, and I'm not sure how to make this happen or what it's going to look like or if it's even a possibility, but I would love for Iron County to have first right of refusal on any power that's generated there that is excess beyond that campus. And I don't know how to make that happen. I don't know how to legally make that happen, Sam. That's a huge lift, right? But they all assure us that they are power generating facilities and they're trying to create power and they will have excess power. Whether or not that's going to be our best rate to buy power at, I don't know. But I want to have first right of refusal on that power source, so that our transmission, our production of power is right here local, and we have a very secure supply of power. So that's just something that's I've been rolling around in my head for a couple of weeks now. Back to the summer games, the opportunity to have that flag that flew over the USS Iron County at the summer games, that was awesome. That was, I don't think a lot of people understood what that really was, and there was a lot of noise going on, but they were denouncing that over the PA system, but that was great to see. So,
Can I take a quick second?
you bet.
Can I,
Yes.
real quick before you, can I say something else about, piggyback on your talk about the data center? And I want to address water. It seems like, and I've talked about, and I've been on social media answering questions, and it's hard because you can talk to somebody for 45 minutes about the water situation, and you'll explain it, and then they say, well, this article from 30 years says this. It's just, it's been a hard process, and I want to explain it again. Basically, when we talk about the data center using water, the Escalante Basin is fully appropriated. All of the water rights are divvied up, so they're being used. So if this data center wants to, they approve the conditional use permit, if it ends up going forward and they decide to accept those conditions and they want to set up shop, they have to go out and buy water rights. They said they would use about 7.38 acre feet a year average. I think that's what isn't for operation. Once full, initial fill was like initially 19 acre feet, I believe. But so they would have to go out and buy 19 or 20 acre feet from somebody in that valley that is already using that water. And once they buy that water, if the Central Iron County, it's not Central Iron County anymore, it's Cedar Valley Water Conservancy, I believe. But if they decide to run a line to that data center and supply them water so they can meter it, they would have to do a point of diversion from the well they buy that from. This is the way I understand it. They'd have to do a point of diversion from there to the water district so that they provide the water rights to the district so they can supply those water rights to them for the water usage. And so the person they buy those water rights from cannot use that water anymore. So when you think about it that way, no more water is being used than is already being used, if that makes sense. And it just seems like that message is not getting out there. The other point I want to make is this data center, if it comes to fruition, and from what I've been told is true, they can bring enough revenue into this county with tax revenue to pay for a lot of things. And one of those things could be to help pay for the West Desert Pipeline to Pine Valley, to bring 15,000 acre feet into our valley, into the Cedar Valley. So if you think about that, some say, oh, you're using everything up. We're going to run out of water. When you think about that data center maybe being used as a tool and the revenue from that data center to maybe pay for a $300 to $500 million pipeline, whatever it's going to cost, to bring 15,000 acre feet here, and we're using 19 on this data center that's already being used, so we're really not using any more anyway. I just want to make that point very clear. So. Sorry, John.
Thank you.
No, it's okay. I will be very fast. I just wanted to echo what Paul said about Five County. They're amazing. I marvel at what they do. Dr. Blodgett is a good friend, and I love what he does. And yeah, it's a lot of it is thankless. Echo the comments about the Planning Commission too. That's tremendous. I had a conversation with Zion Bank last week. In light of HB 485 that passed, and in light of the fact that we have many solar projects on the books and on the ground in Iron County, HB 485 made it so that we're not able to collect new growth. And this is kind of a wonkish topic, but new tax growth on value that is left over after an incentive period ends on a solar. And it's not just solar, but it's redevelopment areas. And that's a big deal because we have a lot of that value, many, many millions of dollars of value that will come off in the next few years of these solar projects that have been approved over the last decade, for which we won't be able to take a new growth, and I think that'll hurt us. And I think we should have that conversation, certainly with our legislators. But what I asked Zion to do was to put together a proposal to try to capture the net effect solar has had on Iron County from a taxpayer perspective, from an entity perspective, things like fees and permits and inspections that Iron County does. What has been the effect of solar on Iron County? Because the net effect, because there are still people who want to come and do solar. Many of these data centers want to do huge solar fields, like things that would dwarf Appaloosa, and the main question I got to at the end of that was, is there an incentive regime or even a reason for Iron County to approve those? Like what percentage for how long might be the best, if there is such a thing. And so they're going to get back to me with a proposal on what that might cost to do such a study. And I think we could probably pay for it with the interest that we've earned in our Fund 61, the redevelopment account that Luke has. And I would encourage you, if we can get it on the agenda and put it before the Iron County Redevelopment Agency, aka U3, I'm wearing different hats, to maybe approve that such a study moving forward. The good thing is they said they could probably have it within 6 months, which would work well with the moratorium on data centers. So that I really think it's important that the commissioners understand what the effect of solar has been, because I think that's going to inform some really big decisions down the road. So, and I'm guessing not more than $50,000, but I haven't got the actual proposal back. That's all I have. Thank you.
John, let me piggyback on that too. Sorry. So, the Pronghorn Development Company, I don't think they're doing any solar. Is that correct, Brad? I don't think they've mentioned, but Bright Night is, and I've asked those guys. I talked to them and said, hey, could you guys look at putting your solar on your rooftops of those buildings? Because they're proposing 650, I think, thousand, some odd. I can't remember the exact number, but about 600,000 foot buildings. And I know they've got heat issues maybe coming out of that building and things, but if they could engineer them to put the solar panels on the rooftops, I see that in Las Vegas where I work a lot, where you have these office buildings with parking garages or structures where they cover the cars and they've got solar panels on them. That's brilliant. And it's a place where it's wasted land anyway, and we can utilize our land. We're not taking up prime agriculture land to put solar panels on. We can put them on the rooftops. And I just, that's something I brought up with them. It may not amount to enough. of what they want to do. But
Some.
but some, yeah, it's better
Well,
than
and,
nothing.
and I've often thought that if you put them up even like 10 or 15 feet with any kind of wind, it's actually going to help with the heat as well, because it's going to actually shade the operation. So
Exactly. Yep. Anyway, something to think about. So, sorry about that.
All right, thank you. It's 10 after the hour right now, so we'll go ahead and take a 10-minute break and start county commission meeting at 10:20.
thank you, Commissioner. Okay, Commissioner, anytime you're ready.
We're live, ready to go?
Yep.
Okay, thank you for attending. We'll go ahead and get our meeting started. Agenda item number 1 is a public hearing, discussion, possible denial of a proposed zone change, ordinance 2026-14 to the Iron County zoning map. Zone change from RA 20, rural agriculture 20 acre to R5, residential 5 acre on approximately 20.27 acres. Located at 4179 West Mid Valley Road, Cedar City, Utah. APN D-515-7, applicant Matthew and Stacy Cook. Brett's going to walk us through this.
All right, thank you, Chair. So looking again at it, it is west of Lund Highway on Mid Valley Road. So it's about a little over a mile west of Lund Highway, just to give you the property. So again, this is the 20.27 acres currently zoned rural agriculture, 20 acre proposal to go to residential 5 acre. So a couple of the next slides will just have the surrounding zoning. So we've got RA 20 to the east and west, R half to the south, and then R1 to the north with some industrial, A20, R2. So the nearest residential 5 acre is on the east side of Lund Highway. So again, it's a little, I think it's actually 1.25 mile to Lund Highway. So obviously in this exhibit, no other R5 within the area. So again, that's what they're proposing to go to, is that residential 5 acre. So what we've looked at with all zone changes is we look at these 13 evaluation criteria for consideration. Again, they're not hard and fast rules of you have to do this. But based on going through this evaluation criteria, staff had recommended to the Planning Commission denial of it, and then the Planning Commission recommended denial to the County Commission. And primarily that came down to the property not consisting of at least 40 contiguous acres and not adjacent to any other R5 zoning. So the Planning Commission had noted at their meeting on June 4th, just talking about how this felt like, it could be like a spot zone where we're just putting a new zone within, surrounded by a whole bunch of other different zoning designations. So again, that's listed in those criteria there in that second criteria. Another additional one, there is water available. That is in Mid Valley Road. They'd be able to be served from that, but there's no sewer facility. Again, if they are 5 acre properties, they have the ability to do septic. But again, it's just a matter of whether or not, we want to be rezoning just individual parcels like that. And again, as the Planning Commission noted, it's more of a spot zone when we start doing that, and that's likely why we have the criteria that we do for consideration, is to try and avoid situations like that. So any questions for me, or should we jump into a public hearing on it?
I'm just curious as to what tier that was in with the...
So it's currently in a tier 2, but we've gone to a few different Planning Commission meetings. It was end of last year, beginning of this year, where we've started in the Enoch and Cedar area to modify that tier boundary. So with that conceptual design or conceptual realignment of the boundary, this property would be within a tier 4. The Planning Commission noted that, but said, well, obviously we're not going to consider that as part of our evaluation, because then they're right. It is currently in tier 2, even though that the change hasn't been made. If that change were to be made and come to this body, then it's potential that it could be within tier 4 in the future.
Okay. So we'll open a public hearing for anybody that has commentary on this. Come to the mic, state your name.
I'm Stacy Cook. Sorry. I'm Stacy Cook. We're the ones wanting to do that. I guess I just don't understand why we wouldn't be able to. Like you said, that they haven't changed the tier yet. When we bought it, it wasn't that. We just want it mainly to be able to sell off one part so we can help build our house and stuff. and to be able to give our kids a little bit of land. But I don't know, I don't understand why they're not wanting to do it. Like, why it's being, I don't know if you.
Yeah, Brett, do you want to address that?
So primarily, it just comes back to, oh, it's not going to go back for me.
Oh,
Okay, there we go. So as part of the application, there's just, again, these evaluation criteria. So with the property only being just over 20 acres, that criteria 2A talks about one of the things that should be considered is if it's not at least 40 acres, well, that's fine. Is it adjacent to another R5 zoning designation, which it's not? So that's actually one of probably the most common scenarios that we see with people wanting to either change the zone or subdivide their property. And that's, hey, I've got more acreage than I want
Right.
necessarily. I want to be able to subdivide and, provide some acreage to my kids to build a house. It's probably like the number one reason we typically see when it comes to subdivisions and rezones. Can it be done? Of course, they can come propose it, which is why we're here now. But I think it really comes down to, is that something that we want to see? And again, that's why it's a legislative decision. It's a policy decision on the rezones, to determine if it's compatible with the surrounding area. That's one of the other evaluation criteria.
Go back to the map if you could real quick.
Yeah. I'll just stay on this one here. So as far as some of the surroundings and maybe a little bit of the history. So obviously the R1 zoning to the north, that's Cedar Valley Acres. That was subdivided into 1 acre lots decades ago before we even had zoning and subdivision regulations. To the south, the R half zoning, that was much more recent. You probably all remember that property just south of them was rezoned. I think it was in January of this year. So that was part of the larger Equestrian Trails Ranch subdivision where they're doing the half acre lots and they have the development agreement and all of that. So I think that's probably, Stacy, that's probably part of the argument is, hey, this neighboring property is doing half acre lots. What's the issue? What's the concern with doing 5 acre lots on my property, rezoning and doing that? So
Yeah, there's a lot all around us that are changing it. There's just like all around us except for to the west. They're all getting changed down to different.
you mean they're all maybe considering it?
No, this one has already been, I don't even know what their acreage or how.
The R1 there? Is this the one you're talking
No,
about?
that's west or east of us.
Yeah, so the R1. Just east of you here, this one.
Is that R1?
Yep.
I don't know what it is. I know there's 3 different houses on that one. This guy has went to plat. He said he did it, but yeah, all of these around us are all different zoned. So I mean, if it's not 5 acre, can you do the 1 acre?
That's my thoughts. What
Like, can
what
we-
other options are available to?
So that is the thing. So if you were to propose to the R1, it is adjacent to the R1. So
that
that's,
would and that does not restrict them to only being able to build on.
well, so they wouldn't be able to do 1 acre lots because they don't have the sewer available. So that's actually
That was going to be my question.
a little bit of note on that. Other one.
density is-
Infrastructure would have to
Yeah,
be.
so that's why there's only 3 lots on there, and that's why it wasn't subdivided into 21 acre lots or anything like that. So they did a maximum density subdivision. So they subdivided it into 3 lots. So obviously with a maximum density subdivision, you don't have to do equal lot sizes. So I think that one up on the street is maybe 3 or 4 acres, and then there's I think a 7 or 8 acre piece, and then a 10 acre piece or something like that. To make up the full 20 acres. So something similar potentially could be done here, where instead of R5, maybe they do R1 and then do a similar maximum density subdivision type scenario.
Is that a possibility?
Yeah, and that could actually, if the applicant and the commission, that's something that could potentially be done now.
But they would not have to develop that as such. It would just be zoned.
It'd be zoned that way,
R1,
but because of the septic density study,
right? They could
they
only
wouldn't
do
be
3.
able
They're
to
still limited to
subdivide into
3.
1 acre lots.
See, and that is an issue because Mid Valley Estates, I'm curious what their nitrates are, their readings on their nitrates for their well, because they've got so many septic tanks that once you destroy your groundwater, you're all in trouble. That's what it seems like a taking but we're trying to protect the groundwater so it doesn't hurt
There
everybody.
is water across, like you can hook into the city water. It's just right across
Well,
from us if you want to pay
is it-
$150,000 to hook into.
Is that the Mid Valley Estates water system, or is that the Central Iron County?
That's the Water Conservancy District. Yeah, there's an
Yeah,
18-inch
there is
line in
water
Mid
there.
Valley.
That's that high pressure line coming off of that water tank up there.
Oh, okay.
Can't tie into that line.
Oh, it's not a.
Oh, so you can't tie into
They
it?
told us they could. We just have to pay a reducing valve fee.
Oh, which is a lot of
It was
money.
120,000 is what they told
I
us last
see.
time.
Okay.
Just to get the reducer and then.
PRV.
So, if you could maybe elaborate on the commissioners being able to talk to address an R1 decision. I mean,
So yeah, when it comes to a proposed rezone, obviously, I think Matt and Stacy, their thought was, hey, we know we're not with a sewer line. We know you may have even been familiar with the whole septic density requirement, 5 acres. So that's probably why they just said, hey, we'll propose R5. So if they wanted to change that proposal and the commission, I don't know, Sam, maybe it's a question for you since the recommendation from the Planning Commission. But again, I think with it being a legislative action, there's the ability provided to the commission to be able to say, hey, R5, maybe not, because of some of our criteria and evaluation that we have, wouldn't make sense to be R5. But if you'd be okay with R1, because it is adjacent to it, I think that's a decision that could be made today.
How many dwellings, how many lots are you thinking as far as kids go? How many homes or structures do you think may go onto the property in your mind?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Aren't they
Let's-
limited to 5
let's-
acre?
We thought we had to do the 5 acres because the R1, we
Uh-huh.
have to have all of the utilities and stuff. So we're like, we'll do the 5 acres, then a couple kids can have a lot. But
What is this septic density? Is it a 5 acre minimum?
It's 5 acres. So if it were to be, let's say, rezoned to R1, they'd still be limited
To
to
4
a
lots.
maximum of 4 lots.
With the tier rating.
Well, not necessarily with the tier rating, more so with the septic density.
Okay.
So they would still have to be, I don't want to say they have to be 5 acre lots because again, if they do a maximum density
Wherever they
subdivision,
place the house on that.
on average, for the entire thing, you couldn't have more than 4 lots. They could be a variety of sizes, but they wouldn't be able to be more than 4 in total because they've got the 20 acres.
So Stacy, just to explain the septic density issue. So out in Enoch, they had a couple of really good wells by the nursery right there on Minersville Highway. They used to be good municipal wells, but they got contaminated with nitrates. And once they're contaminated nitrates, you can never use them again. And so they had to cap them off, and they were good wells. And that's what we're trying to do. It's kind of a growing pains issue. We're trying to protect people so they don't ruin their water supply, because if you do, you're in big trouble. And but it's a growing pains issue. It kind of forces some of these communities, maybe like Paraguna, Canaraville, to have a central sewer system to eventually push them into that so they're not contaminating their water source, right? That's just to help you understand that.
I've got Kendall trying to find our septic density study that was done a few years back. I don't know if he's going to get it quick enough, but that might inform your decision depending on what the septic density study came
Well,
back with for this area.
Yeah, and Brett said it was 5 acres.
You know already?
It's 5 acres.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah, so the study is on USGS.
Trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, so on USGS, it was done in, the most recent one was 2022, 2023. Yeah,
Okay, but in either case, it's 5 acres.
right. 5 acres. The only place where it's more than that, you've got
Canaraville,
Nareville, Newcastle, Summit. Those are all 10 acres
yeah, because the nitrate level was a
because
little
the
bit
nitrate
higher.
levels were higher.
I don't see it. I mean, if you're limited to 4 lots anyway, I don't see the risk in if we have the authority to change this without going back to the planning commission. I know we have to finish public hearing, but I don't.
Oh, you're listening. Okay, you have to goose chase. Don't worry about it.
So Terry, when you're issuing said in the future building permit, that paperwork would address the septic system issues, right?
Yeah, and that's what they would have to go through the subdivision.
Terry, will you please come put it on record?
Thank you.
I gave him the head bob a minute ago, but he didn't.
So
catch
that's
it.
my bad. I
Oh,
let
me
you
too.
get away with sitting in the corner.
But if it's more than a sentence, you got to come be on record.
I'm ignoring everything. Thank you. Yes,
But we don't want to ignore you, Terry.
I know. Appreciate it. No, that subdivision, when she takes that 20 acres, if it's approved either 1 acre, R1 or R5, that subdivision is going to go through with a max lots of 4 lots for that 5 acres for the whole thing. And that would show up, and then we would address that with the septic to make sure that we have no more than 4 septics in that subdivision
The
area.
main factor is still the septic
Yes.
system.
Yep, exactly.
Or
Unless
it's tied into
the sewer.
the municipal.
Municipal sewer and water. It'd have to have public water and public sewer to go
Go
to the
anymore.
smaller, to subdivide smaller lots.
That answer all your.
Yeah, that's, I knew that much about it. That's
So
why you wanted
she-
the 5, is because of that.
It sounds like she's done her homework and wanting to. Okay, and I'm with Brett, staff, we've discussed this, and yes, that R5, the way it's laid out,
Right.
would be more of a spot zone. We did to the east of them, you're right, we did go to an R1 zone, jumped across, but it still only allows, basically land-wise, 1 septic per 5 acres. So even if they did a 7 or 5 and whatever, it would only still allow that 4 lots, basically, for septic systems. So when it comes to that permit, that's what we would go back and look at and see the subdivision, make sure it has not been changed from there.
Thank you.
Okay.
One quick thing that I'll note too, just the difference between what would be allowed today versus what could be allowed if it's rezoned to R1. So now in an RA20 zone, you're allowed a primary residence and 3 guest houses, so technically 4 units. So if you rezone it, if it's subdivided, then you're talking about a primary and a potential guest house on all the lots, so you're looking at a max number of units of 8. So you are, with a zone change, in essence, still doubling the amount of units that could potentially be on a property. Larger septic system, but again, that would really just come down to Southwest Public Health determining if that was still safe and appropriate for the lots with the percolation, soils tests, all of that. So
Any other comments?
I don't have any more questions.
No, you guys covered my
we need
questions.
Close the public hearing, right?
Okay, so we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And I guess I'd entertain a motion as to how to proceed with this. I guess the thoughts that I have are you could take this back to the planning commission as a different zoning, or if somebody has a motion to make that would change that, then I'd entertain
Well,
that.
if we have the authority to do it here, I make a motion to go ahead and allow you to do zone R1 with the knowledge that you can only do 4 lots.
I second that. I'm looking through it just to make sure we don't need to cover anything else. But if that's
Are we covering our bases?
make sure that we're covering.
Did you read the language, or do I need to read that in my motion, John? Or are we okay?
Ken read the
I think,
language.
Commissioner,
You read it.
I read
so I
the
think we
language.
got it covered.
can I don't want, you do what you're going to do, but from a staff perspective, is this wildly inappropriate? Is it wrecking it is a legislative decision after all, but.
I think there's kind of a precedent. We've done it a couple lots over to R1, and that was fairly recent. I want to say that was a couple years ago.
I don't think it's going to.
So, again, and this doesn't necessarily change, even if we were to change the tier boundary or anything like that. Again, it's
Still
not,
constrained by the
it'd be constrained by the
septic
septic
issue.
Right. And then, I mean, there's similar zoning in the area. It's similar zoning that we've already done. It's not, we're consistent with the area. It's not necessarily a spot zone. I mean, I would be.
Well, and you're not jumping zones. That was sometimes you get
Right.
that,
No, I think we're working out a problem to address ultimately property rights and doing everything we can to allow them to do what they want with their property and stay within the boundaries of public health and safety. I hope we've met that. Yeah. No, so I mean, if that's an appropriate motion, then
Sam, we're good?
then
All right.
I've seconded
It's
that.
been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So,
okay.
Yeah, thank you for coming and being a part. That was one of those, we came to a solution.
all right, agenda item number 2 is public hearing, discussion, and possible approval of a proposed zone change ordinance 2026-15 to the Iron County zoning map. Zone change from R2 residential 2 acre to C commercial on approximately 1 acre, generally located on Highway 18, north of 800 South Burrell, Utah. APN E-1406-168, applicant Vilma Hernandez, presented by Brett.
All right, thank you. So obviously you just kind of went through the description on it, but here's just a visual showing where it's located there on Highway 18. So just a closer shot here to get you really in the direction. If you go down Highway 18, you've got the Stotts equipment. There's a big John Deere logo sign out front there too. So they're just a little bit north of that. So Stotts equipment here on the corner of 800 South and Highway 18. They are just the second property up from that location. So current zoning in the surrounding area, again, they are R2 along with some of those other properties to the north and east of them. But then there are pockets of commercial all the way along Highway 18. So Terry actually provided a little bit of historical context on it that I actually wasn't aware of. And so everything on Highway 18 actually used to be zoned commercial. But then the commission at the time had decided, hey, let's make everything residential along there. And as people want to develop commercial, they can come back through and make a proposed request to change to commercial. So it looks like that's probably what's happened. If we were to take a more zoomed out look, you'd see that along Highway 18, there's just kind of commercial pockets, that are popping up and appearing. So with this one, again, they don't meet the 20-acre minimum. It's only a 1 acre lot, but they are adjacent to some other commercial zoning that's already been rezoned commercial. So with that being said, looking through those evaluation criteria, again, there's going to be some limiting factors on what kind of commercial development could potentially occur if the zone change were to be approved. What they are considering and contemplating and planning for at this time, if the rezone were to go through, would be to do like some personal storage facilities. So there'd be low water, low septic needs. So that's oftentimes probably one of the things that we probably see where there's limited infrastructure is commercial uses that require limited resources. So that's what they were planning and proposing along with that change. So here's a quick overview. Vilma Hernandez, they're not here. They live out of state. They live in Colorado. So they're not here. But if we needed to, for any questions, we could probably get them on the phone. But 1 acre within that Tier 4 out west of Newcastle. Again, legislative decision here. Planning Commission did recommend approval of this one. So, yeah, any questions for me?
I don't have any. No. So we'll open the public hearing to this agenda item. Anybody want to make a comment? Everybody stares at the floor, so we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion on agenda item number 2.
Move for approval of the zone change ordinance 2026-15 to the Iron County zoning map zone change from R2 residential 2 acre to commercial C, approximately 1 acre, generically located on Highway 18 north of 800 South in Burl.
Second that.
Oh, second. Sorry.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I was already on the next one.
Keep moving on. Agenda item number 3 is public hearing, discussion, and possible approval of a proposed zone change ordinance 2026-16 to the Iron County zoning map. Zone change from RA20 rural agriculture to C commercial on approximately 20 acres located at 5566 West, 3600 South, Cedar City, Utah, APN E-259-8, applicant Cody Roberts. Brett.
All right, so just here's the vicinity map. We're just west side of Interstate 15, just off of the Hamilton 4 interchange. So this property is just a little bit north of the Pilot truck stop down there.
Just north of it?
Just north of it. What did I say?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so just north.
I was just...
You're right.
I'm just trying to look at it myself and see. All right.
Yeah, so it's on 5700 West. So again, just a little bit of context. Obviously, 5700 West is part of the ultimate Cedar Valley Belt Route plan. So this is that piece right there in red highlighted. So 3600 South and 5700 West. So looking at some of the surrounding zoning, obviously we've got a lot of RA20 in the surrounding area. But there is quite a bit of commercial, and we're seeing, I think, more and more as there's a little bit more development happening around that interchange and around, along the Cedar Valley Belt Route, things of that nature. So this proposal just north of 3600 South, so all the property south of it is zoned commercial. There's been some commercial buildings that have been constructed recently just south of this on the south side. So the proposal again is to go to commercial on this 20-acre piece. So some of the questions that were brought up at Planning Commission, there was a neighboring resident that wanted to know what type of road improvements would be needed along 3600 South. So we had talked about how road improvements would have to extend all the way to the east side of that property line with any development or subdivision or anything like that. So it would be either a chip sealed road or a paved road. We would accept either one of those options. And so the commercial development that occurred to the south, they've paved a portion of it up to into their property line. But I don't think Rich had said that it hadn't been approved yet because it hadn't been done according to county standards. So obviously that's one of the factors. So for water, and the applicant could probably speak to this more, Cody's here, but he's trying to acquire some additional water from the neighboring subdivision, Rainbow Ranches? Rainbow Ranches, okay. And obviously, similar situation here with the one we were talking about with septic. There's no sewer available here. So any subdivision that occurs, we're looking at 5 acres. Again, because that'd be the minimum requirement for anything on a septic system. But again, those evaluations. Go ahead, Paul.
Sewer to that.
Where's the closest sewer? Closest sewer to there is probably going to be... I don't know, a mile.
4B Ranch off of
4B Ranch?
1800 South, 1900 South.
Yeah.
2 miles.
I was going to say, yeah, but that's to the north, right?
To the north.
So, yeah, probably a mile or two at least, within Cedar. Yeah, so
Need a
not...
compass, Terry.
But yeah, any questions for staff?
No. Entertain a motion on item. Oh, sheesh.
In my mind, we already did. I
Yeah.
was ahead too.
Yeah. All right. We'll open the floor for public comment on agenda item number 3.
Cody Roberts, applicant. I think everything's pretty self-explanatory, but we did, we understand the rules of the road that needs to be constructed and how that'll work, and sewer and water rights. But do you have any questions for me specifically? I think it's pretty straightforward.
Is this where the Costco's going to be?
Yes, absolutely. I'll put that sign up.
Ken, you had to do that.
No question.
I
No,
apologize.
thank you.
All right.
All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
And Brett, just remind me, this was a positive recommendation, correct? By the Planning Commission?
Yep, it was. Planning Commission recommended.
All right. I will move to approve the proposed zone change ordinance 2026-16 to the Iron County zoning map zone change from RA20 rural agriculture to C commercial on approximately 20 acres located at 5566 West, 3600 South, Cedar City.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item agenda number 4 is public comments. Go ahead, George.
Reclamation.
No.
No, this is just public
This is the one
comments.
before that, public comment. You came in with the face of determination, and I thought
Moving on.
you were gonna,
This is
Oh, George,
items
not
not
yet.
on the agenda,
Don't get
George.
this done too quick. No, I do want to take just a second and publicly thank our planning commission members over at the data center. I know we don't have any in opposition today, but Thursday night they did very well. They handled themselves very well with what they dealt with. The public hearing had been going on for 3 months. They did not have to take any more comments, but they were great to answer questions that was brought up by the public. They did take a lot of heat from the public over it because we don't want it in my backyard, and our county has spoken with less than 500 people, not one in a data center. So I want to publicly thank them for the abuse and the work that they put into this, for their service, for not being paid, to let them know on public record that'll go out that we appreciate their service as a county body for what they have done.
So I'd like to echo that. The next morning, Friday morning, I actually received 3 death threats, and I mean legitimately, that were, and they hope that I die a painful death because of the decision I made that night, which had nothing to do with us. But those are, I mean, those are some of the sentiments. And man, that planning commission have been rock stars during this whole process, and I would never, pass that on to them. I can absorb those blows and
Exactly.
not worry about it. But I also spoke. I had a meeting on Friday. There was another group there that has nothing to do with this that were in attendance, but they were actually approached by some out-of-town professional organizers to hold their signs and things like that. This wasn't necessarily a grassroots effort.
Yeah.
I just want to echo your sentiments. They've done such a fantastic
and they
job.
have, and at every meeting that they've been to, these planning commission, every one of them, there's been comments that they're getting paid off and taking bribes. And that's the hardest part, to see that they're not getting a dime for their time they put in, but they're taking this abuse and they're getting accused of taking bribes.
Well, and I've had 6 threats. The last one was a fellow county individual said we should do a public hanging.
Yeah.
So, these people there's so many people that accuse us and the planning commission of bribery and being on the take. And
Yeah.
I just said, hey, if you have evidence, call the county attorney, call the sheriff, call the county, the Utah Attorney General. Let's go for it.
And
Get her done.
Exactly. And one other comment, I did run into the landowners that have the most at stake, that have land within 2 miles of that data center, and they praised us and the planning commission for the manner which we represented Iron County through the whole process. And they says that they wish that the rest of the country would look at the conditions and our ordinances, what we've done so far, knowing that we're changing also, for what we have put into it. We've filled it and responded to all the questions and comments that's come out. So they wanted to thank the county and the staff and the planning commission also for the work that's been done.
Well, and these data centers stand alone on their own merits.
Oh, yeah.
You can't compare this to the one in Salt Lake, by Great Salt Lake, in Box Elder. They're their own application, their own conditions. Everything's different, and so you address them one at a time.
Exactly. And Pronghorn knows that they've got a long road to go. I talked with several of them Thursday after planning commission. They know they have a long road to go before they can turn dirt and get a building permit.
And people, you got to realize too that when you're talking 1.3 million square feet foot buildings, those don't get built overnight.
No.
I mean, you're talking build out, what, 5-10 years total?
Well,
Maybe
you're going to look more than that because you got 2 to 3 years before they can even
Permitting.
get a building
exactly.
permit.
I mean, you've
So
got
you're looking
a
8
24-inch gas line to run, which is, I think last figures I've heard was $3 or $4 million a mile.
Yeah.
And it's
So-
4 miles. I mean,
about 4.
you have a lot of things to do before you can even.
So they're looking at full build out. They're looking at 8 to 10 years plus. They're looking 3 to 5 years for the first building. So we're a long ways out still from it, but we've got it approved, and I appreciate what the planning commission has done. And I just want to let them know. Thank you.
And I'd like to echo that to the staff. I mean, I don't know how many hours I've spent with Terry and Brett and the entire staff. Everybody's taken this super seriously, and I mean, we've hashed out all sorts of things, and it's been really impressive to sit back and watch the professionalism of our staff in addressing this, and it's just cool to watch. We're pretty well taken care of here.
I would agree to that, and I'll reiterate what I said in our first meeting, that there's been some public sentiment that nobody's listening. The conditional use permit has 53 conditions placed in it. So that's 53 conditions to the contrary that nobody is listening. So, any other comments? Addie, you don't want to steal George's thunder, so we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. We'll move on to agenda item number 5.
You're up, George.
Screw that look of determination back onto your face. Let's do this.
We didn't get the Darth Vader walk-on song.
Seriously gonna have that keyed up one of these days.
50 more seconds, okay. So I would recommend, this is a proclamation that recently Washington County made. I would recommend the commissioners approve this proclamation. It's declaring a state of emergency for fires. We've already declared a state of emergency in this county for drought and for weather condition, but fire. This will enable me to facilitate any mutual aid or any help or any possible money that might come into the county if we go ahead and declare a state of emergency for fire. And we've already had one fire that luckily didn't get too far, but we've got a long season ahead of us, so I would appreciate the Commission's support on this proclamation.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to protect ourselves, but there's certain hoops that we need to jump through in the event that we do have catastrophic things that occur. Then these are the steps that we need that we've done our due diligence to jump through those hoops leading up to those. So
It just cuts the timelines down a little bit, so for us to move forward in case of a large fire.
All right. Thank you, George. And I did not read that, so whoever will, I'll entertain a motion if you'll read that as part of the motion.
have you got? I don't have it in front of me.
Number 5.
Right there on the screen.
I probably do have it in front of me if I scroll down, but
Do we need to read the whole thing, or do we just the what's on the agenda?
Yeah, just what's on the
What's
agenda.
on the agenda?
Top 2 lines.
all right. I would move for approval of Iron County Proclamation 2026-2, proclamation declaring local emergency regarding severe drought conditions and wildfire risk in Iron County.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, should we do personnel first?
Doesn't matter.
Let's go ahead and move on to personnel. Jennifer?
Good morning.
Morning.
I'll first cover items 1 through 4 for your consideration before moving on to items 5 and 6, since they'll have a little bit more of a dialogue. In the Sheriff's Office Corrections, Jared Carter was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to backfill the vacant full-time medical technician deputy position, effective June 7th, 2026. In the Road Department, Richard Chance Rhodes was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to backfill the vacant full-time technician position effective June 22nd, 2026. In the landfill, Lauren Taylor was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to backfill the vacant full-time technician position effective June 8th, 2026. And in the Justice Court, Tanner Rigdrup was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to backfill the vacant full-time judicial assistant position effective June 8th, 2026.
So I'll entertain a motion to go ahead and approve those first 4 items on personnel.
I'll move to approve the first 4 items.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 5, for the code enforcement position for the prior 2 years, we've originally had it classified in the Building and Zoning Department for funding. It only makes sense to transfer that position to the Sheriff's Office to allow him to gain access to some of the Sheriff's Office programming in order to enforce and help enforce the laws and regulations. If you have any other questions, I've got Lieutenant Peterson here as well, and that would go into effect June 21st, 2026, and the pay would remain unchanged. It would just be a title transfer over to patrol, and then also Terry would still kind of oversee some of those functions as well, just for the zoning portion.
Yeah, I was going to say, will you just clarify on the supervision,
Yes.
the way that the supervision works
Yeah.
with that?
So I think they'll work hand in hand with Terry as well as lieutenants in the sheriff's office to kind of oversee that function. And I think that only makes sense. And it's always good to kind of gain the knowledge between those two departments to ensure that we're checking all those boxes for sure.
Yeah. So basically what this does is the code enforcement under the building department, it remains the same, but what this does is actually give Riley the ability to have access to law enforcement databases, to be able to issue citations through the sheriff. And so it's not a police officer, it's not a sworn law enforcement position, but it's kind of a hybrid where they work hand in hand. But in order to have access to some of those secure databases, the supervision of that portion of it has to come through the sheriff's office.
Correct. That makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. And then eventually, I mean, if we had a crystal ball, we would love to have that position go to post and have all of those certifications. But as of right now, that's kind of the first step going forward. Any other questions?
Okay. Nope.
Okay, I'll move for approval of agenda item number 5, the department position transfer as described.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, item 6, for the Iron County School Safety and Security Director. This position is required by the state of Utah, so we're currently working alongside Iron County School District and have been for the past year or so in providing a stipend for that school resource service. Currently, we cover the cost in the tune of $15,900 per year for those services. With the amount of work needed for this service, Lieutenant Peterson, Sam, and I attended a meeting with the HR director of the Iron County School District just to discuss kind of increasing that pay to go more in line with what services they're providing Iron County. And it was discussed to double that fee for this fiscal year of 2026-2027. We already have a contract in place that really doesn't even cover what the total pay is, so none of that would need to change. It would just be what we are contributing to that position in order for him to represent us a little bit more. And he's already doing that right now, but just to kind of make sure that we're not utilizing all of Iron County School District. So if you have any other questions too, Lieutenant Peterson.
Just a point of clarification, we're speaking about Zach Tuttle. He's the school security chief for Iron County and works with the sheriff's office to implement the school security that we do. Part of this increased stipend comes because he's an invaluable resource with the SWAT team. They spend a large amount of time training at our schools. And of course, his knowledge of school security process, allowing access to buildings, working with the sheriff's office to provide multi-agency access, things like that. It's an invaluable resource, and this would just further go toward the work that he spends outside of just doing school security. I mean, it is tied in, but it's participating specifically with SWAT and being prepared for those scenarios as well.
Perfect. And then I don't know if okay, perfect.
What fund is that funded out of?
It's a great question.
The unfunded mandate fund.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
Right now, the stipend that the county pays in pulls out of what's called the Guardian Fund.
There you go.
In speaking with our auditor, he suggested that we would probably need to do a budget adjustment because the sheriff's office is proposing to increase the stipend out of some available funds they may have. And so what Luke would do is pull from that fund, put it in the Guardian Fund, and then the stipend would just increase at the time of payment, which is around August, right after the fiscal year for the school district starting.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion if we're ready, Mr. Chair.
Is that it?
Move item
Jennifer?
number
Yes.
6.
If
Been
you wanna
moved.
Specifically include in your motion, Commissioner, to increase the stipend by $9,100.
I'll move to approve number 6 to also include the stipend for 15,000. How much?
That's a great
Sorry, it's
question.
increasing.
It's increasing
by
by-
$9,100 for a
Correct.
Increasing
total
by
of
$9,100.
for a total of $25,000.
Total of $25,000.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, agenda item number 6, discussion regarding a closed session of the Iron County Commission meeting held May 26, 2026, presented by Commissioner Cousins.
This isn't easy for me to do, but it's something that has to happen. And first of all, John, I want to ask you a question because I wasn't here. Who called for the closed meeting that morning?
It was Commissioner Blake.
I did.
Okay. I tried to work this out. I sent an email to all the parties that were involved to try to have an emergency county commission meeting this last Tuesday. Last week, I felt like time was of the essence to work this out. That never happened. I filed a lawsuit against Iron County last week. I paid for it myself. I don't know that in the 17 years of public office I've been as upset as I have been over this issue. I requested time on today's agenda to address the closed session that was held that day, May 26th. I will not disclose specific statements from that closed session. It is confidential unless this commission lawfully opens the record, at least in part, but I do need to state my concern plainly. The Open and Public Meetings Act allows closed meetings only for narrow statutory purposes. Personnel matters may be discussed in closed session only when limited to issues such as an individual's character, professional competence, or physical or mental health. In my view, the May 26th discussion exceeded that limited scope and included matters that did not pertain to the subject at hand. As the commission liaison to the affected departments, I learned of the closed session while watching the commission meeting remotely on an airplane flying from Boston to Phoenix. The closed session was announced at the end of the commission meeting. After the closed session had gone on for about 30 minutes, I called into the meeting from the air. I've never done that before, but it worked. I had good Wi-Fi. Once I learned the nature of the discussion and learned that the elected department head responsible for supervising and overseeing the employee the employee being discussed was not even present, I stated that I believed both the subject matter and the manner in which the meeting was being conducted were inappropriate. After listening to the closed session recording, this was verified, and I learned that after my call, the meeting proceeded anyway. At a time when the county is already facing serious public concern about transparency, including concerns raised during the data center
debate, we should err on the side of openness. Closed sessions are the exception, not the rule. Without disclosing confidential information, I can say that after listening to the recording, I became deeply concerned that portions of the discussion exceeded the narrow scope authorized for a personnel closed session under Utah law. I will state publicly that I cannot help fix a problem if I am cut out of the process and not even made aware of a problem with an earlier department, other departments, which I am the liaison over. I heard allegations presented as fact that were later shown to be false. If released, that will become evident. I heard discussion that, in my view, was not necessary to evaluate the character or professional competence of the employee whose matter was purportedly before the commission. Whether those discussions ultimately complied with the Open and Public Meetings Act is a question for the court. But I believe the public interest is best served by releasing the record to the fullest extent permitted by law and allowing citizens to evaluate the conduct of their elected officials for themselves. Was it legal to call the meeting with 2 votes? Yes. Was it questionable to call it without the 2 individuals that should have been there and were not? Absolutely not. Bottom line, 2 elected officials that should have been involved were not even notified of the closed session. In the future, it would probably be best if we worked together. For that reason, Mr. Chair, I move that the Commission authorize release of the May 26 closed session record to the fullest extent permitted by law, with redactions limited to the employee's identity, personally identifying information, and any portions actually protected by the Open and Public Meetings Act. And that's my statement. And motion.
There's been a motion made. Any seconds? Seeing no seconds, the motion fails.
Thank you.
With some reticence, I have a statement that I've prepared. I've admired Commissioner Cousins for many reasons. He is hardworking, organized, and driven. Paul is one of the few people who actually read the tentative agendas I send out. His father taught him, and I've tried to adopt the adage, if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. Unfortunately, Commissioner Cousins has made a living out of being mad. There is a predictable pattern that county staff have learned to deal with. Paul gets upset, tries to force his opinion on an individual or situation, doubles down, and is vindictive if someone stands up to him. In the rare case where someone really counters him, Commissioner Cousins then pivots to playing the victim. This pattern has borne out over and over at Iron County. I have made a list of people, but I won't share it. The net effect is that we are always trying to prevent Paul from being mad, dealing with him being mad, or trying to manage his latest blow-up. In a word, eggshells. A prime example of this is when Paul forced his way into the jail to take his son some things. He threatened employees' livelihoods.
Wait. What the fuck are you talking about, John? I forced my way into the jail. I walked in the front doors and I rang the bell. How was that forcing my way into the jail? John, you want to go there? Here? You really want to do this in this meeting?
All I'm saying is...
You really want to do this?
This is part of the pattern.
Okay, let's go then.
I'm not...
I hoped it wouldn't go to this, but let's go.
And then when the grandma request came in, instead of Paul wanted to be the victim in that situation, look,
I owned that situation.
Good,
and you know that. You can go back to the minutes, John, which you
had
wrote.
Extensive conversations about it, and
I don't think we had extensive conversations.
We did on the phone.
Yeah.
This is a specific psychological tactic called DARVO, deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. It comes down to you either capitulate, you become his enemy for life, or he pivots this other way. It is wearying. We have tiptoed on these eggshells for far too long. Perhaps the single biggest casualty of this behavior is our HR director, Jennifer. She has stood up to coercion, threatening, and importantly being disallowed to continue certain investigations, and having her recommendations, which were backed up by law, ignored. As recently as this month, Paul pointed his finger at Jennifer
Stop right there, John.
and accused her of leaking grammable information regarding the gel incident. This is ridiculous because she is a consummate professional and is very discreet, and I am really sorry to have to even say this. Today's comments from Commissioner Cousins and the lawsuit filed last week are not a principled stand for truth and transparency. They're the desperate feelings of someone who makes a living out of giving his feelings hurt. It's forced me to feel like I have to defend Iron County from someone who I've worked alongside with. This has been very difficult.
You know what's been difficult, John, is you talk about me. Do you realize that I didn't even know, and Jennifer, I didn't even know that there was a disciplinary hearing being held? Do you know that nobody told me? As the liaison to that department, nobody told me. Do you realize that? I had no interaction with Jennifer on that situation. Zero. I had none. Nobody told me about it. The issue with the other, and I'm not going to name departments, but the other department that had an issue with this, Commissioner Blake took care of it. That's my department. And we've always had a history in Iron County commissioners to stay in our lane. And that didn't happen. And if I would have been in the same situation, I would have called and said, Commissioner Blake, there's a problem here. You might want to look at it. That didn't happen. It was just an email fired off. And then nobody told me from that department that there was a problem. I have to know about problems to help fix them. Do you understand that? You bring my son into this conversation, and you're going to have a fight on your hands, young man.
I bring your behavior into this.
My behavior was I walked in that jail. I rang the doorbell. 2 deputy sheriffs came up, and I've done this before when I had to take legal documents to my son. And by the way, that's where I was. I was visiting my son in prison in Massachusetts, okay? That's why I wasn't here. But I listened to the meeting on the airplane coming home, okay? I walked in there. I rang the bell. 2 very nice deputy ladies came up in the sheriff's department. I said, look, I'm a county commissioner. I don't want you to do anything you wouldn't do for anybody else. Can you give this 1-gallon jug of distilled water from my son's CPAP machine? And they said no. And I said, great. Put it in your stock. If you can use it, keep it. If not, I'll leave. And we talked for a minute, light chatter. In their own statements, they'd said I'd never yelled at them. I never threatened them. I was polite, but they were afraid of my position and that I could get them fired if they didn't do what I told them to. And that's false, because that can't even happen. I can't go out there and fire somebody on my own as a commissioner. That doesn't happen. And I do wonder, and I never did accuse Jennifer of that, but I asked her some very hard questions. It was interesting that I went out there that night about 10 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and all of a sudden, Miley Wilson was notified by someone that I went there to deliver water to my son for his medical device to be healthy. And somehow somebody leaked that to Miley Wilson, who's my political nemesis, and all of a sudden it gets blown up in the news media. That's all that happened, John. And I owned that in that commission meeting. So to bring that up, that was a trigger, buddy.
I understand.
And I'll tell you this. As an elected official, I stand my ground.
You should.
And I've always have, and I always will, and that's why I'm glad to be. Yeah, you have, but you're not the 4th commissioner either,
That's
John.
true.
You act like you are, but you're not a 4th commissioner. You're a clerk.
That's right.
Okay, so you need to stay in your lane too. All right.
Fair.
So anyway, that's all I got to say.
Thank you for your attendance. We'll close the meeting. Oh, do we have delegated?
Oh.
Do we have anything for county boards? Seeing none, we'll conclude our session. Thank you.
There's still a non-delegated issue. Not a board issue, but non-delegated items. Is that on?
I don't have it on my agenda.
Oh, well, it generally is it not?
I don't put that on there. That's when it's brought up.
Okay. I'm not I'm not going to comment on the pending lawsuit. The reason that I did not second to release that is because there's been a lawsuit filed in the court that is now up to the courts. That trigger has been pulled, and there is, in my mind, that is out of the hands of the commission at this point.
Withdrawn.
Well,
Easy. If the
that's
motion
where
had been made.
that's where I'm at. It's up to the courts now to decide. In speaking with the county attorney's office, because of that pending litigation, I believe that for Commissioner Cousins to continue as the liaison to the assessor's office would be I think that it's a conflict of interest.
Since you're taking over anyway, Mike, why don't you just take them all?
Well, hear me out. No, we're not done.
No.
This is my turn to talk. We're not done.
Just take them all if that's the pro bono.
No, that's not what's happening.
doing.
Also, the treasurer's office feels uncomfortable with their condition, with the liaisonship with Commissioner Cousins, and has requested a change. So I'm going to move that Commissioner Robinson move to be the liaison of the assessor's office, and I will go ahead and be the liaison to the treasurer's office. That's my motion. Or my request. I don't even know if it needs a motion. It's an administrative action.
I will second that and approve that change.
Okay, I've got one more thing to say. When I ran for commission 7.5 years ago, I wasn't going to do this, but this has digressed into this ugly situation, and I apologize for that. But when I ran for office 7.5 years ago, I had a lot of people opposed to me because I do stand my ground and I speak my mind. And I had an employee at work one day said, "Hey, I had somebody at church tell me that I was called to be the liaison or the public facilities director at the Temple Open House for the LDS Church. And I was asked to build the platforms to hold the Christus, the piano, all the different platforms for the visitors. And when the church gave me a budget of $200,000, I told them that was too much money. I said, I can save you a lot of money. I said, let me buy a materials package to do that work. I can sell it to a local contractor at a discount. Mind you, I didn't handle any money. The Cross Hollow Stake took care of the money. I talked to a local contractor. They said, we'll buy that material package from you. I said, I won't cut any boards. All there'll be is holes in them. And when we were done that project, I saved the church about $50,000 with their open house. I spent about 500 hours that year on that project, me and some other committee members. And when everything was done, I bundled that lumber up, delivered it to the yard of that contractor. That contractor paid Cross Hollow Stake money. Commissioner Blake, when in his responsibility as a detective with whatever police department he was, I think it was Cedar City at the time, was spreading rumors that I was under investigation for stealing material from the temple. Now, do you think if I was going to donate 500 hours to the Lord, I'd steal material from him? No. My wife cried for 2 days over that and begged me to get out of politics. She bawled for 2 days. And I had to have a general authority and Elder Yardley clear up that rumor because it was false. And it was very unfortunate. I let it go. Mike and I went to lunch. I asked for apology and I never got one. But it looks like coming into office, I have to put up with this, and leaving office, I have to put up with it because there was things said in that public meeting, that closed session. There was some lies told in there that I've debunked. And Jennifer, you know that because I did it with you.
And so anyway, I hope a judge may look at this and say, "Nah, I'm not going to release it." But there were lies told in that meeting against me that are not true, and so it looks like I'm going to be leaving office the same kind of treatment coming in.
I'm not going to dredge up 7 years ago. The way that Commissioner Cousins portrayed that is untrue, and we had that conversation years ago.
I've got a Facebook post.
Yep, he has a Facebook post because I got a text message that says, "Unless you give me a public apology, I will post this on Facebook." And I said, "I don't owe you an apology." And within 3 seconds, there was a huge Facebook post posted. Commissioner Cousins and I actually had this discussion in the back hall right here. That's not how it happened. And I'm not going to address that, but to say that he let that go when we just dredged that up 7.5 years later. And I was not going to say one thing to this, but that goes to John's pattern. And I'm not going to comment on anything. I mean, moving forward, there's legal action pending. It's not appropriate to comment on that legal action, and I'm certainly not going to bring anything up from the past. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you for your attendance. We'll declare the meeting closed.